Life goes up and it goes down. I know my mom taught me that.
Hello and welcome to Roller Coasting. I'm your host, Megano, and you might be wondering where on earth I am. If you're audio only, you won't be wondering where I am because you can't see where I am. But if you're a video, which you now can be, you can listen to this as you always have done. It could be on Apple, it could be on Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Or you could be watching a full-length version on YouTube, which you should because there's a lot to see here. You will notice that I am no longer on my beanbag in my living room. I am in fact in what looks like a fun fair. I am in my very own podcast studio. What on earth? This is a very surreal moment. To think I used to work in hello, you're through to BT Business, Bill and Megan speaking, how can I help? In a call centre, and now I'm sitting on my bougie chair in what looks like a fun fair in my very own podcast studio. You could say it is quite the it's a 360 and that would be all the way back round. It's a 180 moment. What on earth? I'm on my podcast studio. This is an absolute dream come true. It looks very crazy. Some may say I have lost the plot. Yes, I probably lost the plot years and years and years ago, but it looks like a fun fair. Why does it look like a fun fair? Because what do you find at fun fairs? You find roller coasters. And what's my podcast called? It's called Roller Coasting. Yeah, duh. I had a lot of fun creating this set. It looks crazy. It's wonderful. It's weird. All words to describe myself as well. And we're just going to have so much fun here. This does feel quite crazy. It feels quite scary. But what also feels crazy and scary? Roller coasters do. So that was the aim. So welcome to the new and improved roller coasting. Strap in, guys. It's going to be crazy. Although a lot might have changed physically to look at, roller coasting is going to stay similar to what it's always been. It's always going to be me and you. We might have the odd guest in now and again, because before I wasn't really going to ask a guest to come to my flat and not only come into my flat but also share a singular beanbag with me. That might have been a wee bit weird and uncomfortable for the guest and maybe me too, but now I have the facilities to have guests on, so we might introduce the odd guest here and there. But a new segment, Meganos Mail. So there's going to be a little phone number. It's not going to be my number, so don't be blowing up the phone. It is going to be Meganos Mail number. And you can WhatsApp the Meganos Mail number and you can send me anything you want within reason. No, actually, honestly, anything you want, just fire it my way. It could be questions, it could be dilemmas, it could be like funny videos you want me to watch and react to. It can honestly be anything. This is your time to send something to Meganos Mail. You don't have to actually send physical mail, remember, it is a number. And it'll be on screen now. And it'll also be in the @Rollercoasting Podcast Instagram bio. So it's there for you whenever you need it. And please use it, or else it's going to be very awkward if I open my mailbox and there's nothing in it. I need you to be sending me some mental, crazy, hilarious, whatever you want. Send it my way and we'll start off each episode with Meganos Mail. So obviously, with this being the first episode back, we do not have any Meganos Mail, so that is going to take place as of next week. For today, I thought, what do you mean you need? What have we not had in a long time? We have not had a catch up, and oh my God, is there things to catch up on? I have been out living life. I have stories to tell. I have life updates to give. So today I thought there's nothing better we could do than just sit down and have a good old bestie catch up, me and you, and spill some tea. So the last time I spoke to you, I was knee deep through hot girl summer. And I had a great hot girl summer. The last time I spoke to you, I was in my single girl era. I was going on lots of holidays. You know, I was out kissing some frogs, which I definitely did do. And I had an absolutely great time doing so. I had a fantastic summer. My first single summer, I really needed it. I felt like I learned a lot about myself. I had a lot of fun and I made a lot of memories. So finished off hot girl summer with a big girls trip to Thailand. We're going far, far away. I have never been so far away in my life. I have also never been away for so long. I mean, it was only 16 days. I was talking about Thailand as if I was literally got a backpack and travelling around the world for 7 months. But 16 days to me is a long time to be out of routine. So I was a bit, I was humming and hawing whether or not I should go to Thailand. For me, I am terrified of being so far away from home. Like, if I wanted to come home for whatever reason, I can't just hop, skip and a jump home. I've got to get boats. I've got to get planes. It's hours and hours and hours away. Another thing I'm kind of scared of is time differences. Actually, the last time I had a time difference was when I went to Barbados a couple of years ago. And the fact that nobody was awake when I was awake just really freaked me out. I also don't understand time differences. Clocks moving forwards, clocks moving back. There's many things in the world that bamboozle my brain, and time is one. Another one is, how do buses turn corners? How does a bus get around a corner? A long shape that cannot bend, apart from the bendy buses. How does that get around a corner? I don't understand. We'll do, you know what, and we'll do a whole nother episode on things that bamboozle my brain, because we'd sit here all day, but I need to get back to Thailand. So I was really nervous about going to Thailand, but being in the single girl era I was in and not having a boyfriend to go on a holiday with, this felt like a very single girl thing to go and do, to go and see new things, live new memories. So I agreed to go to Thailand. Now, I have bad health anxiety. I always have done. I clearly always will do. It is not going anywhere with age. So people kept warning me, oh, you better watch you don't stand on a rusty nail. You better watch you don't get bit by a dog, because I love dogs. And if a dog approaches me, I'm going to pat the dog. Can I pet that dog? So people were warning me all these things. And obviously, I'm also very accident prone. This summer, I think the only accident I had was breaking my toe, but it was a really bad break. And it stayed broke for about 3 months. Complete nightmare, and that was just by stopping a door. So imagine the risk factor there is over in Thailand, all the cliffs I was jumping off. Anyway, people warn me, get your vaccines. So I phone up the NHS, I say, hi, going to Thailand, need X, Y and Z, and they were only going to offer me like 1 or maybe 2 Jags. I thought, that's not going to work. That's not going to work for me and my health anxiety. So I took myself to the pharmacy. I went in, I said, check, give me the works, give me a full MOT. By the time I get to Thailand, I need to be essentially bulletproof. So she gave me loads of Jags. It cost me somewhere in the region of 250 up to £300. I nearly collapsed. I didn't ask the price prior. So when she said, okay, that'll be, I'm sure it was like 265, let's say 265. That'll be £265. I'm like, £265 for 2 dead arms, which is what I got from it, and nothing else. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of the story. So I leave with my 2 dead arms, of no use to me for the upcoming days. Agony. I had flu-like symptoms. I felt like I had honestly been hit by a bus because of these Jags, but I kept reminding myself, at least when I get to Thailand, I'm going to be fitting well. So I go to Thailand. And I do have fun. I have lots of fun. Actually, I'm surprised at this point I don't have an 8-pack from the amount of laughing I was doing. I had a lot of fun. I was very out my comfort zones, because basically we went to Thailand for 16 days and we island hopped. We seen 7 different places. That's a lot for 16 days. I couldn't settle anywhere. I'm a creature of habit. So I'd finally just get to grips with, okay, that's where I'm going to keep my pants in this drawer. I'm going to keep my dresses in that place. This is my bed. And then it'd be like, oh, no, up we go. Let's get on a crazy boat. The boats there are mental. At one point, a guy is sitting on his phone, no hands on the wheel, texting, driving the boat. I'm like, at least put one hand on the wheel. No. Anyway, another thing they do on the boats is hand out anti-sickness tablets, because they're so choppy and so crazy. So we're on and off these boats. Sometimes we get little flights, and I'm doing well. I'm really surprised at myself. We stay in some hostels, and I would hate to come across as a snob. I really am not a snob. I don't think I'm a snob at all. But hostels just aren't for me. One of the hostels we stayed in cost £4 each for the night, and I just think anything that costs £4 each for the night, what are we expecting? But I kept on a brave face. We done it. And I got right to the end of Thailand. And on the last day, I started to think to myself, I think I'm ready to go home. I think I've really pushed myself here. I've learned a lot. I've enjoyed myself. You know, I've got lots of life experience under my belt. But I think it's time to go home. And I think that was quite obvious to the girls, my friends. And at one point, Nadine said to me, I think you just need to get home and get into your routine. And I said, well, she's not wrong, but I was kind of like, you know what, we spent 17 days together. It's just a wee bit nippy. So I'm thinking, right, okay, so clearly she's getting pissed off at me. So then we go out for dinner. And we go into the first restaurant we've seen. Now, again, I don't want to sound like a snob, but this restaurant was not, it wasn't even given clean, never mind nice. So I said, are we really going to go in here? And they're like, Megan, come on. Like, obviously, they know that I'm getting a wee bit huffy. They obviously think I'm being quite difficult in this situation. They said, let's just go in. So we go in to said restaurant. We're the only people in a restaurant. Then we order a drink. We all get a margarita because it was a Mexican restaurant. Arriba! So we all order a margarita. Nadine's tastes like there's petrol in hers. So we all said, don't be drinking that. So we tried to communicate that with the staff. Obviously, the staff only speak Thai. Totally fair enough. We're in Thailand, so that's our problem, not them problem. So we're like, let's just leave the margarita. Don't be drinking that. So then we're all coming to order food. Nadine, Start and Ailey all order, I'm pretty sure it was the fish tacos they got, and I'm thinking in my head, brave choice, you're going to get the fish tacos. If you're going to get ill from anything, you're going to get ill from a fish taco. So I was like, I'll play it safe with the beef tacos. So I order beef birria tacos. Out comes our food, and beef birria tacos are like closed over. Not that I would ever inspect my food anyway, but they're closed over, so munching into it, and as I'm eating it, I kept burping, which is horrible table manners. So the girls are all kind of like what? And I said, sorry girls, these just really aren't going down well, but I was hungry. So continue eating them, continue to burp, and I thought, do you know what, we're going to call it a day. I've lined the stomach, I keep burping, let's just put a wee pin in these beef tacos. So I stop eating, they finish their meals, and then we got on with the rest of our night. So we're done with the Mexican restaurant. Happily for me, and it was time to move on to our next part of the night, which was a drag show. So we go in to this sort of venue. Obviously it's in Thailand, so it's really warm. The drag show was popping off. Everyone was wanting to see this drag show. I think it was oversold because we're all sitting on benches like this, but that's absolutely fine. I'm here to support the drag queens, absolutely. So we're all in. The drag show starts, and it was honestly phenomenal. It was probably one of my favourite things we've done in Thailand. Absolutely up on the benches dancing, we're loving it. But I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh my God, I am so warm. So I've said to the girls, are you warm? And they're like, oh, at this point I've been complaining about not having a routine. I've been complaining about this Mexican restaurant, and now I'm complaining about the heat. And they're like, obviously it's warm. We're in Thailand, it's like 38 degrees. I'm like, right, yeah, you're right. But honestly, the sweat is dripping off me. My hair, my extensions, which isn't even my real hair, is soaking wet. So I'm like, right, this just doesn't, I'm looking at them and they still look intact. Nadine's got that slick hair back, not her hair out of sight. And I look like I've just jumped off a diving board into the deep blue sea. Anyway, something's not making sense. But I'm sitting there watching the drag show. We get up, we start dancing, and then one of them like touched my back, and they're like, "Oh, you are really sweaty." And I was like, "Oh no," I mean, feeling a bit paranoid at my absolute sweat here. But we get through the rest of the night at the drag show. It was so much fun. I was crying at the end because they had this whole segment about like pride and stuff. It was absolutely gorgeous. This skirt came out. It looked like it was just a normal skirt, and then they spun round and all the colours of the sun floating round in the wind with the wind machines. It was absolutely fantastic. It'd bring a tear to a glass eye. So then we leave the drag show, and one thing about me, guys, is I love a tattoo. Now we have video, you can see this. I have some tattoos, and I got a new tattoo. He's here. So we leave, and I said, guys, to mark this wonderful trip, now that I've had a few drinks as well, to mark this wonderful trip, I need to get a tattoo. None of the other girls get tattoos, so I was like, yous can go, I'll go myself. And obviously they weren't going to leave me. So they come and join me to get this tattoo. Go into the tattoo shop, and I was like, do you know what I'm going to get? I'm going to get a lucky cat. I've seen lucky cats all over Thailand. I thought it was going to bring me so much luck, so much fortune, so much good vibes. Let's get the lucky cat. So we go in. I'm getting my tattoo, and the guy starts, and I'm also a wimp, right? Like, I cannot handle pain whatsoever. The guy starts the tattoo, and I was like, oh my God, what needles are you using? These are phenomenal. I can't feel a thing. I can't feel one bit of this tattoo. He does the whole lucky cat. I could have fell asleep. I was so relaxed. So the lucky cat's now on me, and we leave the tattoo shop. I would notice when I stood up, the tattoo beds in Thailand are quite different. You know, normally here they're like wrapped in what's that stuff called, cling film. In Thailand, it was just little unicorn blankets, which was slightly different. But I stood up and I noticed that the unicorn blanket was drenched in my sweat. I was like, this is so embarrassing. I need a shower. I'm absolutely sweating. Anyway, we leave the tattoo shop, and I started to feel a bit, not sick, but I was just like, oh, I think I'm done in. I think I'm going to call it a night at this point. It was probably about 1 a.m. So everyone was in agreement, because we actually had to get up at 7 a.m. and leave our villa to start on our 36 hour journey home. So we all thought, yeah, let's go hit the hay. Let's get some sleep in us before we embark on this really, really long journey home. So we head home, get back to our villa. Also, I should mention at this point that our villa was gorgeous. It was really, really nice. We did save the best to last. But it had this really large gecko. Like, I'm talking this size, if you're on the video. This size gecko that was black and white stripy, almost like a little zebra gecko. It was stuck in our villa. This Thai family came and tried to remove it and everything, but it was fast. If you try to get the gecko, fast. And he tied up in the ceilings, and there's not ladders high enough to get up and get this gecko off the ceiling. So he was stuck with us. Luckily for me, he was stuck in eeeek and Star's room, and he actually shat their bed multiple times. Little shit droplets all over their bed. He was a cheeky gecko. Anyway, we go home, and I'd been really nervous about this gecko, because one thing you should know about me is I'm scared of reptiles. So anything of the sort, lizards, snakes, frogs, are these reptiles? I hope they're reptiles. All of those bunch of family of animals, terrified. So I was really nervous about the gecko. But one thing I noticed about this night when I got home is I didn't care about this gecko. This gecko could have been in my bed. It could have been shitting in my bed, and I just wasn't bothered. And I hadn't clicked why at this point. Anyway, I get in, get to bed. I downed a bottle of water like this size, and I was like, I'm really not feeling great. Probably too much alcohol. 17 days of drinking, not good for anyone. I just need a good night's sleep. So I tuck myself in, I fall asleep, and maybe I sleep for, well, if I went to bed, let's call it 1:30, and when I woke up it was 4. I woke up, and when I first opened my eyes, I didn't feel essentially bad, but I felt weird. So I opened my eyes, and I was like, what the fuck is that? So I shut them again, opened again, still, what the fuck is that? Shut them again, third time lucky, opened again, still, what the fuck? So I'm rubbing my eyes, I'm panicking at this point. What did I see? Loads of skeletons sticking the middle finger up at me. They're all coming towards me like this, whilst I'm lying in bed, and I was like, try to get Nadine's arm. I'm like, Nadine. And then I remembered, when I have a temperature, I hallucinate. So I touched my head. I may as well have touched the sun. The temperature coming off my head, no human should ever be this hot. And I don't mean hot to look at, because I was definitely not. I was the hottest I have ever been. Generally, I could have got 3rd-degree burns from touching my own head. I'm trying to wake up Nadine. She's sound as asleep. When Nadine's asleep, Nadine's asleep. So oh my God, these skeletons are coming at me. But the good thing is, I knew they weren't real. The last time I hallucinated when I was unwell is when I got the COVID jag, and I thought my room was a big bubble, and I was trying to pop my room. Weird. Anyway, I knew what was going on, so I try and get myself to the toilet. Emphasis on the word try. Our toilet and bedroom were connected, so there wasn't a door. I'm starting to be sick. I've got sick down the wall. I get to the toilet. I've filled up. I've never seen so much liquid come from someone in my life. The toilet is filling so high that I'm having to reach to flush it whilst I'm being sick. Like, it was starting to overflow. And that way, when you can't even get a breath from being sick. So I'm trying to still wake up Nadine. So I'm being sick, and I'm like, Nadine! Not shifting. Keeps going. Eventually, I see her wee head poke round the sort of connecting bit, and she's like, are you okay? Did I look okay? I genuinely in that moment thought, this is it. This is where it ends. It's ending here in Thailand on the toilet floor with this gecko kicking about, probably coming shit on me, actually. So Nadine's like, oh, what's going on? I said, I really don't know. I'm really not okay. She touches my head. She thinks, oh my God. She phones her boyfriend. Her boyfriend's pharmacist. She's like, Megan's really not doing well. Really don't know what's wrong with her. Trying to get me back to bed, trying to get me to sleep. Not happening. And the sweat was like pouring off me still from the drag show at this point. If anyone smelt me at this point, God help you. But I was so cold. Like, so I was saying, Nadine, you need to turn the aircon off. You need to turn the fan off. And she was like, I am not turning that fan off. It is like 38 degrees outside and you seriously think I'm turning that fan off? But I felt like I was like in Antarctica. I was like shaking. It was absolutely horrific. So that was me the rest of the night from 4 to 7, up and down like a yo-yo, sick here, sick there, sick down the wall. It didn't just come out sick. I also hate to tell you guys, but I'm giving you the full story here. It was all happening. It was all a go. Anyway, we all got up at 7. We hadn't packed yet. So the girls had to pack the case for me. But I'm sitting there, absolutely no use to anyone. And then that's when I started to panic. I was like, we have a 36-hour journey home. 36, that's more than a day. And I can't even stand up at this point. And they were just like, you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. Like, we need to get you home. And I was like, I'll just stay. I'll just need to stay in Thailand. I've got really good medical insurance. Because actually, my dad, like, foreseen this. My dad's obviously like, that's so Raven. Like, he absolutely knew this would happen to me. And when I was getting my health insurance, he was like, take out the highest policy. So I think I had cover up to like, honestly, it was something like £10 million. So I thought, well, I've got the cover. I don't really want to stay here in Thailand myself, but with that cash to spend, I may as well. I can't get myself in this plane, but the girls were not having it. They were like, you must come with us. So they were actually really helpful. They're all lugging my case about. If you've been to Thailand, the roads are anything but smooth, and I am anything but a light packer. So, sorry girls, you're going to need to get that 30 kilogram case from A to B, from B to C to C to D to D. The journey was never ending. So they were really helpful. I've got to give them that. So our first leg of the journey was an hour's taxi from our villa to the boat. That was horrific. You know, if the only way I can describe it is if you're in a taxi home from a night out and the driver's asking if you're okay because he's going to chuck out if you're not, and you're just sitting there like, the sick's literally pouring out every pore on your face. That was that kind of same energy. We get to the boat. I think the worst was obviously about to come, as I explained. Some of the boat drivers don't even use the wheel. They also hand out anti-sickness. So we got on the boat. And people obviously think I'm really seasick. And I was quite happy for them to believe that, because at this point I didn't know what's wrong with me. And I'm really scared that they're going to like send me off somewhere if they think I'm really unwell and like contagious. So every Tom, Dick and Harry is giving me anti-sickness tablets. I'm like, I am one anti-sickness tablet away from becoming an anti-sickness tablet myself. Anyway, I'm having to take them all to keep up this facade that I'm really seasick. So I sat on the boat for 2 hours. I didn't even sit with the girls. They had a row of 4 and I purposely went and sat myself. I was like, I can't have any human interaction. Even the thought of someone's like voice speaking was like just sending me to a really bad place. So then we get off this boat. I should mention we started in Koh Tao, then we ended up in Koh Samui after this boat, and we had a few hours to kill. So the girls heard of this really nice restaurant that they wanted to go to. Ideal. Yeah, I'll go and sit in a nice restaurant. That's exactly what I want to do right now. But we didn't have a choice because we didn't have a hotel anymore. So we go to this restaurant and it's gorgeous. It's like on the beach. It's all like, you know, like those sort of rattan lampshades. It's very bougie. It's very nice. So Nadine's like, just act normal. So we get to the front and the guy's like, table for how many? I'm like, like I don't have another second to play with. I just turn around, I spew everywhere. And the guy's like, is your friend okay? Pal, I'm far from okay. I can't even spell okay anymore. And I was like, Nadine was like, sorry, she just really needs to lie down. And the guy's obviously thinking she can't come in here. But Nadine really wasn't giving him a choice. She just sort of dragged me in and she was like, somewhere for her to lie down. And then they were very accommodating, I must say. The people of Thailand are so friendly. They can't do enough for you. So they lay me down in this restaurant. Honestly, people really must have been put off their food. I'm so sorry if you were at Coco Tams in Koh Samui last month. I can only apologise for my behaviour. So I'm lying down on this sort of flat surface. They've got all fans coming at me from all directions, and they're putting loads of wet towels on my head. And in Thailand, they're really big on this little herbal stick that you smell, like you sniff it. I don't think it's anything illegal. And they were coming over with these wee herbs and making me sniff them. Honestly, I don't know if they were making me feel worse or better. But anyway, I'd sniffed lots of herbs. I was lying down. I'd been all paper toweled, and I was just trying to like nod off. But then the girls were like, eat. Like, you need to eat. You'll feel so much better when you eat. But you know that way when when you're so ill, the thought of eating is horrific. So they ordered me a wee poke of French fries, and Nadine got me a blue, I'll never forget this, a blue Calippo ice lolly. And they were like, just have some of the ice lolly, have some of the French fries, we'll drown them in salt, you're going to be good as new. So I was really holding on to this hope. Meanwhile, they're eating all these crazy sandwiches. I'm like, why are you ordering sandwiches with every sauce in the world on them? Strongest smells ever, like pure potent cheese, whilst I'm here fighting for my life. And you think bringing these scents around me is going to help. So they're all tucking in to these honestly horrific smelling sandwiches. I'm just eating my wee French fries. I'm getting my ice lolly down me. And it actually felt like I'd turned a corner. I was like, oh my God, I think I needed that food in me. I'm honestly starting to feel a teeny bit better. So our time had passed in Koh Samui. We'd been in this restaurant for about 3 hours at this point. And then the taxi was like, maybe like a 3-minute walk from where we were. So not far at all. We get up, we start walking, and it just hit me like a ton of bricks. Sick everywhere, bright blue sick, all down at this really fancy hotel. All everywhere. There's like this hotel's so fancy that there's people standing outside like in tuxedos, like ready to take your case off you and stuff. I'm 1, not a guest of their hotel. 2, I've just been sick all down their walls, and 3, it's bright blue from the Calippo. And 4, we had to cheat to use their taxi service. We pretended we stayed there, and I've just left them with some graffiti on the walls. So next off, we head to Koh Samui Airport, and then we have to get a flight to Bangkok. So we get into the airport, and at this point I can't even stand. I stood against the wall at one point. I just slid right down. Like, I was so limp, I was so weak. So then this is when we realised that I needed wheelchaired for the rest of the trip. So a wee guy takes me in a wheelchair, and he takes me down to the gate. And when he wheels me around, he was like, would you like anything from the complimentary section? I knew I couldn't eat because I ate the French fries and the ice lolly, but there was this huge container of the best looking orange juice you have ever seen. And I thought, oh, wheel me to the orange juice. That looks phenomenal. I love orange juice. So he wheels me around. I get my wee carton, down it, and I thought, brilliant. You know, that's got vitamins in it. Ideal. Get on the flight to Bangkok, which is for 2 hours. We got up in the sky. I'm still doing good. I'm doing well. I had my earphones in. Put in some Sabrina Carpenter. You'll just have to taste me. I'm thinking, right, I'm on the road to recovery. Here we go. I'm nearly home. Well, I'll be home in like 20 hours, but still, I'm in the sky. I'm feeling good. And they said, please keep your seatbelts on. We're about to have some turbulence. I thought, okay, that's fine. Turbulence doesn't bother me because what's that jelly analogy? Planes are just in jelly. So I'm not scared of turbulence. Well, maybe I am now. The turbulence hit. The sick is coming out like this, but it's coming out all the little holes in my fingers. I was like, move, everyone move, because I was a window seat, sprinting down, and that was me. I didn't come out of the toilet the rest of the flight. Sick for 2 hours on the trot, orange juice. I will never drink orange juice again. We land in Bangkok. We have 7 hours to kill before our next flight. The girls, we checked into a hotel, the girls are away to the pool, they're away out for lunch, they're away enjoying themselves, and I decided it's definitely time for me to have some sleep. So I nodded off, I woke up, and without going into too much detail, this is when the sickness started to be at bay a wee bit more, but things got really bad. I don't know, what is that, north, east, south? Whatever way is down, that's where things got really, really bad for myself. And I would argue that being sick's actually better because you can control your sick a wee bit more. So I woke up and I said, girls, there's not a chance in hell. I'm going to need a nappy if I'm getting any flights. And they're like, come on, you've came this far. We didn't really get that far. I was still in Thailand and I had, 16 hours ahead of me worth of flights. Anyway, get to the airport, Nadine's like, act normal, and say you need a toilet you need a plane seat near the toilet because you have really IBS, which isn't a lie. So we get to the front of the queue, the beads of sweat at this point like pouring off of me. I look really unwell. So I said to the guy working on the desk, is it okay if I request a wee seat near the toilet? And he's like, okay, like what's that for? And I said, bad IBS. If you say that, no one's going to question it. Didn't question it. I said, sure, that's fine. I said, and whilst we're at it, is it okay if I have a wheelchair? And he's like, why? And I was like, the IBS. Honestly, I just really need this wheelchair. So I'm getting wheeled about and we get on the next flight. That was from Thailand to Dubai. Hell on earth. We weren't sat next to each other, so I'm sat next to randoms, pissing in sweat, dealing with the other stuff. For the full, 8-hour journey, this was me. I didn't watch one movie. I didn't go on my phone. I done nothing. I just stared at the seat in front of me, wondering if I was going to make it back off this flight. We get to Dubai, a couple hours to kill. I'm on the last leg of the journey. It's from Dubai to Glasgow. Much the same. I just sat and stared. They brought out the food. I was honestly holding on to life with my hands when they bring out the food. I was sat next to this girl and she got, what was it again? It was some sort of curry, and I thought, please don't open that. Don't open that next to me. She opens it and all the scent just like hit me. That was me stuck in the toilet again. Anyway, finally got home. And this is where the next life update comes into it. I was seeing a boy at this moment in time and I hadn't seen him in like a month. So I was like, he needs to come to mind. So I'm saying to him, I'm feeling better. I honestly feel better already. Because I know if this was me and my health anxiety, I would not visit someone who has been as ill as I was, because I'd be like, fuck catching that off you. But I was saying to him, I'm actually feeling so good now that I'm here in Glasgow. Like, I'm feeling absolutely fantastic. You'll need to come visit me. So he comes and visits me. I'm not obviously good at all. I'm severely unwell. And, you know, when you're first seeing a boy, a lot of the sort of scary part is the whole toilet part. I'm so sorry to bring this up in episode 1. But, you know, even farting in front of a boy, very awkward. Don't want to do that. I'm a girl. I don't fart. I don't shit. And that was the facade I was keeping up for a wee while. But there's one thing about this illness that I had, and that will not let you keep up that facade. So I go to the toilet, and I'm so sorry, guys, to share this with you. All that leaves my body is blood, like lots and lots and lots of blood. So I was like, shit, like that's not good. That can't be good. Literally, shit, that cannot be good. So I go into the living room, said to this boy I'm seeing, this is honestly, we've not met tons of times at this point, like it's new. I said, do you think it's like weird that like loads of blood just came out my bum? And he was like, out your what? And I was like, out my bum, like lots of blood. And he was like, yeah, I think that's quite weird. And I was like, yeah, same. And he was like, I think you should probably phone the doctors. I was like, yeah, I think I will do that. It was a Sunday though, so I was like, I'll do that tomorrow. Then just sat next to him, watched the rest of the movies if I didn't just tell him that loads of blood had come out my bum. Anyway, he goes home the next day and I phone the doctors, and the doctor said to me, yeah, that's definitely quite alarming that there's blood leaving your bum. And he come to the GP. So I went into the GP practice, had to do some samples. I'll spare you the details. Very low point of my life, to be honest. It's only up from here. But she was like, I think you'll be fine. Like, you've been in Thailand. Wee bugs like this are really like common. I'll send you on your way. She said, what I'll do though is I'm going to phone the infectious disease department at the hospital and just get some advice. And if they say anything that I think I should relay back to you, I'll phone you. So I said, sure, sounds like a plan. Off I go home. Obviously, I lived myself and I started to really deteriorate. Like, I was in a lot of pain. Like, I was screaming and shouting to no one. I'd still scream and shout as if someone was going to help. I was like, help! Like, in my bed. Like, no one's there. No one can help. Not doing too well. Then I get a phone call back from the GP and she said, hiya, yeah, you have to go to hospital. And I was like, what, why? And she's like, they'll explain when you're there, just like go. So I go to hospital and they're taking me really serious, which is, for someone who has health anxiety, is really unusual. Like, normally I'm there begging to be seen. I'm like, come on, something's definitely wrong with me. Like the time I thought I had toe cancer, but it was just a bruise on my toenail. because I stubbed my toe. So they normally, they shoo me away. They see me coming and they're like, not her again, absolute pest of hell. But this time they were taking me really serious. I thought, well, that's alarming. That raises alarm bells. So they take me in to this wee trolley and they were like, took one look at me and he was like, asked me all these questions. He's like, right, okay, we're just going to start you on treatment like right now. And I was like, treatment for what? Like, what's wrong with me? And they were like, we don't know yet, but we're just going to start with this antibiotic bag. And I was like, right, okay, so something's obviously wrong. And they said the blood in your stool, we'll use the word stool, that's probably a bit nicer, would suggest you definitely have a gut infection, but it might have made its way to your blood. So I was like, sepsis! I was like, I have sepsis! Oh my God, I have sepsis! And he's like, no, we don't know yet, And I was like, do you think I have malaria? And they were like, oh, we can't rule it out. I was like, malaria! I was like, Cheryl Cole nearly died of malaria. There was a whole montage on the X Factor of Cheryl Cole malaria. I'm going to be the next Cheryl Cole with malaria. And they were like, well, we can't rule it out. Like, nobody was giving me any form of reassurance, and fair enough, they couldn't. So I'm like, oh my God, things aren't good. The doctor said, like, we're going to need to admit you. My mum's in the corner crying when they said, we need to admit you. Mum went, oh no. And I was like, whoa, why do you not want me to be here? We want to get better. It was all such a whirlwind. So we had to wait about 4 hours before there was a ward available for me to go to. So eventually they wheeled me up to the ward and I'm just going from bad to worse. Like, my stomach was growing by the second. Like, it was growing so big. I started to think I had ate that gecko in Koh Tao. I was like, that gecko is in my stomach. That explains so much. It was getting bigger and bigger. I was thinking it's obviously climbing. I know the way that thing moves. It's obviously climbing round the insides of me and it's just making me expand. It looked like I had swallowed. There's this Mr. Men character who's like this shape and in this shape. I looked like him. I was like, what is going on in my stomach? I've not ate in about a week, so I'm definitely not bloated. So no one knows what's wrong with me and I'm in screaming agony pain at this point. Like, it was horrific. I was on morphine. I had all these wee IV things. They were taking all my blood. At one point, I was like, are you going to leave me any blood? And they were like, actually, we've only took a blah, like doctor terms. I'm like, oh my God. Anyway, it's all going on. My dad now gets to hospital to visit. And I was sort of like dozing off into sleep a wee bit because obviously I'm exhausted. My dad said I like tapped his leg. And he was like, what? And I said, I won't make it through tonight. And he was like, Megan, you're being dramatic. I was like, dramatic? I was like, I genuinely won't make it through tonight. I honestly can't explain how much I felt like this was it for me. I was really, really not well. I had CT scans. I had everything going on. And it turns out, after 3 days lying in my hospital bed, still can't eat, nothing, my GP phones me. I was like, oh, funny to hear from you again. And she's like, are you free to talk? I said, free as a bird, honey. Lying in this hospital bed, not spoke to anyone for days. She said, oh, you're in hospital? I was like, yeah, like really quite badly in hospital. And she said, that's probably for the best. I was phoning to let you know that your stool samples have identified you have salmonella. So I was like, oh, well, that certainly makes a lot of sense. So I have to ring the wee bell. I'm like, doctor, can you come? And you come, because no one knew what was wrong with me. Breaking news, I have salmonella, I've cracked the code. And they were like, okay, well, that makes lots of sense. And I also had a flare-up of colitis, and that's why my stomach was so big. I was like, when I had the CT scan, Mum and Dad had went home to go to bed. It was really late hours. I got, who knew CT scans are on till like 1 a.m? Absolute night shift down at the CT scan. So they came back with the results, and I was like, is there a gecko in my stomach? And they were like, a gecko? I was like, yeah, a large, stripy, black and white gecko. And they were like, no. So I was like, whew. They were like, your intestines are just really, really, really large. I was like, all right, okay. So I had salmonella and I had colitis. And what I can say about that is salmonella is not just your average food poisoning. Salmonella is very painful, very horrific, to the point that when I got out, Glasgow City Council blowing at my phone. Like, I had all these missed calls and I was like, who is this phoning me? I don't deal with unknown numbers, but this person wouldn't stop. So I was like, oh my God, what does this person want? And they're like, hello, it is Glasgow City Council and we've had reports that you had salmonella. I'm like, I did? And how do you know? And they're like, the NHS have passed this on. It's taken very seriously. Like, blah, blah, blah. On the phone to him for 45 minutes. I'm on the council telling him about my bloody poo. So, literally, not bloody, as in blood out the bum. So that was a moment. But anyway, I got out of hospital. I'm on the mend and I'm salmonella free, and you know what, I'm looking at it now as it is just another story to tell. The girls kept saying to me on the travel home, like, you're going to be fine, like nothing's wrong. And then when I did get home and said, girls, I'm actually in a hospital bed, like really not well, they were like, shit, like we are so sorry, we're really sorry we didn't take you seriously enough. And no one did. No one took me very seriously until I'm lying in a hospital bed with a potential gecko crawling around my stomach. But that was a salmonella story. Everyone wondered what was wrong, and any advice for those going to Thailand would be the Mexican restaurant that has skeletons on the wall. That's why I was obviously seeing them. Painted skeletons on the wall in Koh Tao. Don't go. And if you do go, at least get the fish tacos like the other girls did. Don't get the beef birria ones, and you won't like what's coming next. So now, time for a life update, guys. He played part of the story in the salmonella story. Yeah, you might have seen that I went to Ibiza. I had the best time. I'm not long back. I was worried I wasn't going to make Ibiza because when I checked out of hospital, I was like, is there anything I can't do? And they said, don't go running any marathons. I said, funny, you should say that, doctor. I'm actually due to run a half marathon, so I couldn't run that. And he said, and don't take it too far with like drinking alcohol and stuff because your stomach's like really, really sensitive. And my mum and dad were looking at me like they knew I was going to Ibiza in a few weeks. I was like, oh yeah, I won't have any problems with that. But I did go to Ibiza and I didn't take it very easy, but I was fine. Look, here I am in one piece. But I went to Ibiza for closing parties. Really recommend, so much fun. But the real tea of the trip would have been the hard launch of my new boyfriend. Woo! I just went right in. This was the hardest of hard launches. If you're not familiar with the term hard launch, let me just break it down to you. We've got soft launch and we've got hard launch. Soft launch is when you post little sort of like discreet but obvious things. Like it could be a picture of you like holding someone's hand. It could be a picture like of a very obvious like date setting. It could even be like a little picture, like say a little mirror picture, but you can't see the two heads in it, so you don't know who it is. But you're alluding to the fact that you're with someone, but people just don't know who. That would be a soft launch, and soft launch is fun. Hard launch is just boom, I'm with this person, this is my boyfriend, here you go. And that's exactly what I went in for. I posted this photo and I must say it is a fantastic hard launch photo. We've got the whole sunset of Ibiza in the back. We're on this bougie rooftop bar. It's honestly, it's a great photo. It's an exquisite photo, I have to go as far as saying. So I thought, why soft launch when you can hard launch? And people were shocked. Like, I've not even like hinted or made any sort of reference to having a boyfriend. So people were messaging me like, wait, is that a boyfriend? Because I've just not mentioned it whatsoever. I've held my waters, which has been hard. I've been itching to tell people. I think it's because I've not recorded a podcast episode in so long. Like, I feel like I've low-key been living quite a private life. I'm like, gosh, I'm really like private these days, which is very unlike me. Like, I just, as you know, overshare everything. I just told you I had blood coming out my bum. So this is so crazy for me just to boom have a boyfriend there. So that was a hard launch. So I do have a boyfriend. It's a very new boyfriend. We've only been like official for like just over 2 weeks, so I've not kept it from you too long. Obviously we've been seeing each other longer, but we've been official. I've been wifed off for just over 2 weeks. And you know what? Part of me says to myself, right, I should just bite my tongue. Like, I should keep, you know, my love life quite private because it doesn't ever work out very well for me in the past. But I'm happy. I'm honestly so happy. I'm like the happiest I've ever been at this moment in time. And you know what? Life's too short not to live in the moment. Like, if you're going to freak out about the future, then you're not going to get anything done. All I can do is go off what I feel right now. And right now, I am so happy and I have a boyfriend and I want to scream it from the rooftops, but I can't, so I'm going to scream it on my podcast instead. And it's just great. I think it is definitely no secret that I am a relationship person. Like, that's just me and my core. I'm just like a lover girl to the core. But I did genuinely really, really enjoy my single time, and I had mentally mapped out a plan. I was like, I'm going to be single for probably 2 years, and I was more than happy to stick to that. Like, there was no void in my life. I was having a great time with my friends. I obviously lived myself. Like, I was having an absolute great time, and there was not, like, I was not looking for a boyfriend. I actually was more like this, to be honest. But I did always say, the one thing I'd said to myself and to all my friends, I was like, the next person I call my boyfriend has lists and lists and lists to tick. Like, there's so many tick boxes. We're going to be there all day. Like, I was prepared to be extremely fussy. I'm not settling for anything less. And look, it's absolutely not my fault that I have met someone sooner than maybe expected to, who ticks all those boxes, and he does. He's absolutely fantastic. We have a great time together. All we do is laugh. Like, we have very similar senses of humor, which is quite unique, because, like, for example, like, I just like meow and stuff, so like, that's, you know, when you find someone who doesn't think you're weird for meowing, you know you're onto something. Literally, we just have the best time ever. He's so great. There's probably one tick box that maybe he doesn't tick, and that is that he lives quite far away. I'm technically doing long distance, which is, honestly, I surprise myself all the time. Like, I surprise myself a lot, but I'm really surprised that I've found myself in a long distance relationship. Like, I have said my whole adult life, I'm like, wouldn't do long distance, don't get it. Like, there's 7 billion people in the world. You can find someone who lives in a near enough radius of yourself. Like, I just didn't understand it. But it's not until you meet someone who does live far away that you can't help, but you know, you can't help who you fall in love with. And what are miles and hours and whatever when it comes to love? So yeah, long distance, that's interesting. I always surprise myself. And look, I know that people have things to say. Everyone has something to say about something. We're all human. We're all a wee bit too judgmental sometimes. We all chat a little bit too much, and that's fine. But I can honestly say I have never been so sure on something my whole life. So I am more than happy if, worst case scenario, this didn't work out. You can all say I told you so. You can all laugh. But I am genuinely so certain on this, and I'm just so happy. I'm so delighted. And yeah. That's my life update. I have a boyfriend, and he's absolutely fantastic, and I'm Salmonella free. Yay! Well, guys, that was a lot of oversharing for one day. Actually, just talking to yourself for a long time really does take it out of you. Yeah, definitely overshared, maybe a wee bit too much, arguably, but that's the type of relationship me and my roller coaster riders have. It feels so good to be back. I've genuinely missed sitting and oversharing. This is like my little therapy dupe. I love just sitting here and chatting away, and I'm so excited for all the fun we're going to have in my brand new podcast today. Oh, remember, Meganos Mail is a brand new segment of the podcast. There'll be the number on screen. It's also on @rollercoasting podcast Instagram. Please look how much I've overshared with yous. It's about time you've overshared with me. I want us to interact. I want us to have lots of fun, make lots of memories. So please don't hesitate to send anything to Meganos Mail. Also, you will see little clips pop up on TikTok, so be sure to be following Rollercoasting Podcast there. You're going to see little shorts here and there, and of course you can get your full-length videos on YouTube, so don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube. And if you can't get enough, go on my personal side too, @Megano Welsh. Yay, I'm so excited to be back. I hope you loved the podcast today as much as I love being here, and let's just buckle in and go on this crazy ride together. See you next week.